Be better off checking the weather. I think, tonight's another example of a game where I feel like we played like 37 good minutes. I think when we play teams like that have a very unique style, and obviously Wembanyama is very unique in terms of what he does defensively, it requires a higher level of thinking, a higher level of strategy. We can't just kind of play. I think our team continues to show the willingness to share the ball, to play as a team. We're still learning, how to deal with those types of moments, right? Because I felt like in the third quarter, we really had about a 5-minute stretch where we just kind of lost the plot, and the game slips away. But I thought overall, there's a lot of big positives to take away from the game. One, the possession battle. We took 13 more shots than they did. And then rebounding, to only give up 3 offensive rebounds to that team and to win the rebounding battle, I think is a really good marker for us. The paint points were about even. So they got away from us in transition for short pockets of the game. I felt like some of that was because we were a little dysfunctional offensively. But I felt like there are way more good or way more positive takeaways from tonight's game than negative.
When you say playing a team like this with such a unique style, do you think that allows for maybe like a hyper focus coming into these games, and that's what makes maybe this such a good matchup every time you guys do face off against San Antonio?
Yeah, I think our team has, it's funny to say this here, but Pop used to use the term appropriate fear all the time when I worked for him, and I think our team, has had the appropriate fear when playing San Antonio. They're really well coached. They're a really disciplined team. They've got some really good players, some good perimeter defenders, and obviously Wembanyama, and I don't think Luke Cornett gets enough credit for what he does for their team. And so we have to really execute at a high level to generate high-quality shots. And I think for the most part, the 2 games against them, we've done that.
What are some of the things that Nurk has brought this year that you've liked, or maybe as people may not see just in the box score?
Yeah, we've talked a lot about his screening. Obviously, that doesn't necessarily show up in the box score, but that's a big one. I also think that Nurk has done a really good job of taking accountability in different moments. I think he's been a part of a really great core of veteran leaders that we have in our locker room. They're setting a good example for our young players, not only in how to go about their business every day, but in the willingness to be coached, the willingness to take accountability in different moments. Nurk's also continued to show like a wide variety of skills. He rolls more than he pops, but has shown the ability to shoot the ball effectively from the perimeter. His presence, I think, calms our team down, knowing the stability he gives us in terms of creating an advantage offensively, but also defensively, especially rebounding. I think it gives our team a calmness, knowing that Nurk's back there. He's been great for us.
On the transition D point, like you mentioned, it wasn't great tonight, but in general this season, do you feel like it's in a good place, or how do you feel about that versus crashing the glass right now? How your team's been doing?
Yeah, I think our transition defense has improved. Crashing is still an emphasis for us, trying to win the possession game. Until we can consistently generate and force more turnovers, offensive rebounding is a way that we have to try to get a few extra shots. That being said, there's plenty of moments to point to where it hasn't been great, but I think on the whole, the intention and the execution has been better. in terms of not having as many people sort of in that no man's land. Tonight there were 4 or 5 very frustrating possessions for the whole team. After a make, giving up a layup or an and-one going the other way because we're worried about our matchups. We say a lot to the team. Mismatches don't beat you, open shots beat you. And so our communication has to continue to grow, but I have liked the approach of the team this year as it relates to the balance of crashing and transition defense.